It depends who is asking. If it is someone from the professional circles, my shortest version is I am a lawyer, a legal counsel who work where private decisions meet public ones. An entrepreneur, a founder, an investor, a philanthropist, an artist, they make private choice. That choice touches the state, tax, regulation, public and private funds. And I have worked in that overlap and across systems for more than 20 years. I grew up in a small city in the south of Brazil, Mafra, in Santa Catarina. And my world was full. One sister, two brothers, parents who loved us, uncles, aunts, cousins, grandparents. For a family party, we would gather 60 to 80 people easily. And my weekends and my holidays were on my parents' farm. Long rides on horseback, cattle, sheep, real work with my hands. And to me, that world was enormous. And honestly, it still feels enormous. I started traveling during law school. I went to the United States and Canada for 1 week and two, and with my uncle. We were selling furniture components, prospecting, negotiating contracts, and I saw that the world was bigger. Not just the maps, but the cultures, the way people lived and decided and saw things. My huge world was one small piece of something much larger. And so I chose international law. That was the moment I moved outward. My first clients more than 20 years ago were international sale contracts, negotiating, drafting, review them. And that work put me on planes, North America, Central America, South America, Europe, the UK. And for almost 9 years now, I have lived between England, Brazil, and Switzerland. I did not plan a glamorous life. I followed the work, and the work crossed borders. There is a belief, especially in south of the Ecuador, that to go international, you must live. Pack everything, start again from zero, sit at the bottom of someone else's ladder. And that belief costs people their whole lives. And it is not true. You can be qualified where you are and still be paid in pounds, in euros, and in dollars. In England and Wales, for an international lawyer, a huge amount of legal work is unreserved. You can't do it without re-qualifying. Obviously, there is a registered foreign lawyer route, and there is a clear line between the 6 reserved activities and everything else. But almost nobody explains that line to the people it would set free. And the beauty for me is simple. Talent is everywhere. Opportunity is not. You have to build it. And you can close that gap with structure, with resilience. For me, the hardest thing has always been language. I am most myself in Portuguese. So very often I was the only foreign in the room. It did not matter if it is in person or on a screen. The other side arriving with 5 or 6 people. The corporate voice was loud and fast. They talked over you. They used the speed of English like a wall. They smile and move on before you have finished your point. And here you have a choice. Step back or hold your ground. I have learned to hold my ground. Early on, more times than I can count. And I felt small in rooms where I had every right to stand tall, and I am tall. Yes, and let me tell you about one night. My family and I were invited to dinner at the home of English friends in London. We were celebrating a large digital assets transaction, around 27 million pounds. And the guests were families from across Africa, Zimbabwe and Malawi, and from the Americas only us. I have always thought of myself as closest to the earth, the farm, the horses, the land. And that night I saw how much I still have to learn. One guest was a PhD in quantum physics from Malawi. You could see the mansion made him uncomfortable. To him, used to open space, it felt small, so he did not sit. He preferred to talk with us on his haunches, close to the ground. He did not take a plate, and the host, who was wise, had laid out a banana leaf so he and the others could serve themselves the way that felt natural to them. And for dessert, with every rich sweet on the table, he chose an orange, and he peeled it with his hands, so easy, so natural, no knife, and I have never forget it. That is the beauty. You think you have traveled far, and then a man with an orange shows you how much further there is to go. Working with tax incentives with an international scope have given me so many opportunities to meet amazing people around the globe and discuss their activities and strategies, from artists to film producers, philanthropists, those involved in research and development, infrastructure, agriculture. For artists, for example, many own tax debt on income or inheritance tax, and some have no cash. All they have is the artworks on their walls. And in several countries, a piece of art can settle that tax. In the United Kingdom, it is called acceptance in lieu. In Mexico, it is pago en especie, paying kind. And the painting goes into a public collection. The family is spread from a debt it could never pay in cash, and the public gains a work it now owns, and nobody loses. That is a tax incentive. It is the state deciding on purpose that some private value should become public good. Or still, imagine a film producer or an entrepreneur working with research and development, applying for tax credit on qualifying expenditure. And it is generous when it's done correctly. My academic work identifies structural fiscal access constraints in tax incentives with international scope. Public money and public benefit are reachable through structuring, through film industry, through philanthropy, through research and development, through culture. But only if you know the structural fiscal access constraints and how to overcome them. Many times navigating not only at national level, but also at bilateral, European, where pertinent, and also international levels. And here is what I have seen for 20 years. Advisors reach for the easy answer, because the easy answer is less work than the true one. They tell the client what is the simplest to say. You meet or you not meet the eligibility criteria, not what is most valuable to know. I have spent my career in the gap between the normative, administrative, and institutional structures at all those levels. The work is not glamorous. It is reading, identifying the gaps, and proactively execute to overcome them. It is checking today's laws and administrative practice against facts and against assumed international obligations. The temptation is always to run up to a clean story. I will not do that. My name is on the answer. It's the same structural constraint, just newer. A token is a private thing that keeps colliding with public rules, and almost nobody can translate cleanly between three rules: the technology, the law, and the regulator. In Europe, we now have MiCA, a full regime. In the United States, the central question is still whether a token is a security tested against cases law from decades ago. Countries around the globe have their own position most professionals freeze. It feels technical, fast, and foreign. I froze at first. Anyone honest did, but I treat it like everything else. I asked a few questions. What kind of thing is this really under the noise? Which existing rule already governs it? Where are the risks and the opportunities? You do not need to be an engineer to classify a token, just as you do not need to be a chemist to handle a contract about chemicals. You need a clear method. The beauty of being early is that you get to be the bridge. And I am since 2015 when I bought my first digital assets. And it's because some of my clients were moving part of their business to blockchain technology. And I had to learn on the legal and tax aspects by myself. I have to learn the foundations to be able to sit between the founder, the tech, and the regulator and make all three understand each other. The field moves so fast that a calm, accurate guide and plan to execution is worth more than a brilliant one who arrives late or only covering one aspect. And I have to be clear that I do not sell certainty, I sell method, and I say honestly where the ground is still moving. Structure is power, and almost nobody is taught to read it. Tax incentives, tokens, carriers, international carriers. In each one, there is a door that looks locked and is not. Your job is to learn how to overcome it. My whole life, I have learned to translate between law, tax, business, and government. These rooms not always speak the same language. And that translation is our job. Lawyers, accountants, tax advisors, consultants. Everything I build is a way to hand that region to more people. My comfort zone, it is gone. The want to do more, learn more, travel more, it has a price. I do not know if I should be calmer, but this is who I am, and I am happy with the choices I did. All of them brought me here. Here is a life where I have time in my days to look after myself and my family. Long walks, yoga, painting, a countryside or beach whenever I can. And financially, I have enough that I can travel the world without checking the price of the hotels or the right-hand side of the menu. And personally, I can share what I know with people who want this too. That last one matters most for me. Every week, dozens of lawyers, accountants, tax advisors, consultants write to me from every corner of the world. They want my work. They want to work with me because they want to pay in strong currencies too, pounds, euros, dollars. They want to travel or live abroad, but many are not ready yet. And I have to ask them gently, how can I send you an international tax case or a digital assets case if you do not know the regulation, the language, or the culture? No, and ChatGPT will not do that for you. Real interactions are not online. Real experience is not online. You do not have to move abroad to build an international career. But how will you talk about cross-border tax incentives if you do not know the structural barriers and how to get past them? How will you serve a digital assets client if you cannot bridge the founder, the tech, and the regulator? First, learn. I am here for that, to teach, to help you avoid the same mistakes I made over 20 years ago. And what you need is resilience and fire in your eyes, because there comes a point in life where your knowledge and your experience only mean something if you share them. And I am sharing them with you now. That it's more real than you have been told and less automatic than you hope. Both are true. Nobody will hand it to you, and you do not have to abandon everything to earn it. You come from somewhere small, and your world was big. Hold on to that, then learn to read the structure, carriers, fiscal, digital, whichever door is yours, and find someone who honest to read and execute it with you the first few times. That is all I ever needed, someone who would tell me the true answer, not the easy one. That is what I try to be now. Thank you. It was a pleasure. I appreciate that.